to talk about our target users who are incarcerated veterans.
Thank you, Tay. In 2019, Project Reclass started at Rutledge State Prison outside of Columbus, Georgia. Rutledge is a medium security prison which hosts one of three Veteran Honor Dorms programs across the state of Georgia. As a medium security prison, incarcerated individuals live in dormitories and not cell blocks. They have the opportunity to also opt into daily activities such as vocational training and counseling. The veteran dorms, which if you look at this photo is in the center, allowed former service members the opportunity to live with one another, with other service members, and receive greater opportunities to connect with the VA and other educational opportunities, Project Reclass being one of them. So at that same time, the next slide will show Tay and I started to build a course that was geared towards passing the CompTIA Network Plus exam. Tay designed the slides that focused on teaching the OSI model and relevant technologies. I helped curate the material for an audience trying to understand network examples. For example, how radio messages and IP addresses are pretty similar. We reinforced our lessons through quizzes, practice exams, and hands-on labs that Tay will talk about soon, but everything else started with one key element: values. Throughout all the US military branches, every branch defines itself through a set of values they want to instill in their sailors, their soldiers, their airmen, or their Marines. And they want these values to guide them. All 9 values of the United States military are listed, and we felt strongly to include a 10th value: grit. Grit is a passion and a perseverance for long-term goals. Angela Duckworth of the University of Pennsylvania helpfully reminds us that grit isn't talent and grit isn't luck. Grit is a long-term steadfastness to a goal, even when you fall down, screw up, or have a slower halting progression towards your end state. It means that you continue to push ahead. And after our reflection on these values, we would begin our coursework, which reflected the best techniques to teach in a degraded environment. And Tay will talk about how we handled our labs.
Apologies, I was muted. So during our time at Rutledge, we didn't think to get first-person accounts from individuals to share with you all because we didn't know the virus was going to shut down our entire operation. But I can share with you who these students were. So I had the opportunity to travel to Georgia to teach lessons around routing packets across a local area network. And these students were very enthusiastic. Even those who will be spending the rest of their life in prison, they were just so excited to learn and discuss as a group. And they would all raise their hand. Every single person raised their hand at least once a class to answer a question or otherwise ask a new one. And I got to deliver a group exercise to them after the lesson to design a hospital network all the way down to the different types of fiber optic cables and high throughput routers with specific constraints like budget, redundancy needs, bandwidth requirements per building. And a student came up to me and very politely pointed out that I'm missing small form factor pluggables in my catalog. And therefore, since those items are very pricey, the budget I provided wasn't realistic for him. So I looked into this, I asked a few friends about it, and he was very right. We had to modify the budgeting on our lab to reflect this change. And I really am not exaggerating. There's no question in my mind that these incarcerated individuals that get selected for programs like this, overall as a group at least, are more tenacious than many top performers at FANG companies and top universities. They are so attentive, they are so hardworking, and they always help each other between classes. And so maybe I can talk about it more quantitatively. We did survey these students while we were there for the in-person program. A lot of them loved being intellectually stimulated and felt that the class offered that opportunity. They liked that they were able to ask questions freely. We got a lot of hands-on answers saying that they really like to be able to engage and ask questions. Not as many of them thought their communication skills improved, and many of them liked visuals and visuals that move. So when that program got shut down, we brought together a design team to ask how can we make these concepts intuitive and accessible. So we decided to create some user personas so that we're not building in the ether. We're actually building to people with personalities and interests that we identify as relevant to the product. So let's take Steve. Steve is a veteran. He's also a supervisor of an auto shop, but he did get in trouble 2 years ago because he was driving under the influence. He's never worked with networks, but he wants to learn. And for him, what matters is that he can practice what he's learning, even though he's in prison, and that he can get clear error messages because we're not there to answer his questions. We did also spend some time brainstorming what other profiles we can build towards. And eventually, after a lot of discussion, we settled on just one other one, Cassie. Cassie is a veteran looking to transition into cybersecurity. She's a go-getter and she really likes the feeling of leveling up, especially in a remote program. Um, and she loves to be challenged. She wants something that keeps her engaged across all of her different interests.